Yeah, what's good, Joe? It's your man, the Bigga P, and here to share my thoughts on the Mayweather-Maidana 2 pay-per-view. Um, First of all, I just want to say, overall, this was a very, 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 very poor pay-per-view card. Probably the worst, the worst in like recent times. I'm just very happy that I'm technologically inclined, and I have a netbook with the HDMI port and an extremely fast internet connection that's enough to give me a 720 HD quality TV out to my notebook to my TV. Um, because I would be pissed if I had actually paid $75 for this. Um, it was just a very poor card. And it's bad that the first match, which was even on the main card, John Molina versus Humberto Soto, was probably the best fight on the whole thing. And it was a good fight for the most part. The only thing about that fight, Soto actually, and I had Molina the favorite, considering that he just went to war with Lucas, and because Soto's just had these bouts of inactivity, but I was not expecting him to be as sharp as he was. Extremely sharp and extremely busy. Molina is just you can see the talent that he has, but he probably needs a new trainer. And I think the fight delved into something else where it was just nonstop fouling, where both Molina kept on fouling Soto, hit him below the belt, and then Soto would repeat the favor, and it just got into it got very sloppy near the end. But the right person did win that fight. Um, where Soto goes for this, I have absolutely no idea because, like I said, yeah, the guy's really inactive, so you just don't know if he's even got capitalized on that or not. For Molina, this is a step back. So I mean, this is his second straight loss. So I guess he'll probably most likely be back to the drawing board. But you can tell, like I said, Molina has some talent, but he needs a trainer to really fine tune some of his some of his issues because at 140 where he's fighting right now, I mean, knocking down Lucas is one thing, but I don't think he's going to be too competitive with any of the other upper tier fighters at 140 with his current style. And Soto, once again, of course, showed why pretty much only it took an extremely hard puncher in Lucas doing one to actually knock him down to date, because he took plenty of flush left hooks and right hands on the button. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a very entertaining fight for what it was, and it should have been on the actual card, um, on the main card. It would have bumped it up a notch in terms of quality. Um, the first fight on the main card was Angulo versus De La Rosa. Now this was another gimme fight because Angulo is pretty much coming back off back-to-back losses from Blower and then Canelo, and he's basically has not looked good since he got out of jail. I've talked about this too in the past with Angulo. I mean, it seems like I don't know if he's just mentally shot, physically shot, or both, but he's shown signs of decline since the Silva fight. The Silva fight was the first that started raising alarm, and then the other two fights I just mentioned. So they pretty much this was a given because De La Rosa himself is not that great a fighter either. I remember I'm watching him face Alan Conyers, and Conyers, not easily whipping him over the distance and dropping him I think like 2 or 3 times. So I was expecting the same thing, so to speak. I was expecting Angulo to get the knockout, but it was just more or less the same thing. He's been just plodding forward, eating punches. He got knocked out in the second round on the ropes, um, but he did try to come back because De La Rosa, during the middle of rounds, was getting the body work from Angulo, and on I think the 10th or the 11th round, he was ready to go. And I was rooting for Angulo at least to get the knockout, at least get some momentum back. But unfortunately, De La Rosa himself in the 12th round managed to skate away and gain the biggest win of his career. So my hats off to De La Rosa for that. As for Angulo, I mean, I don't know what what do you do with Angulo at this point? I mean, you have him with Virgil Hunter, but I haven't seen any improvement in any area of him. Like I honestly don't. I mean, I don't understand what Virgil has been doing for him in terms of boxing style, but I just haven't seen it. And he's been taking these beatings over the past couple of years, and I think probably now he should probably think about either retirement or to save his career, just go to a different trainer. Um, but this would probably, I mean, the 160 move is what it is, but it's the, I don't think he's going to last very long in that division. Not at all. Um, the second fight was Mickey Bay versus Miguel Vasquez. Miguel Vasquez is one of the biggest mysteries to me. I'm trying to figure out how how Miguel Vasquez, who's as unentertaining to watch, who's not the whose fights are pretty complete struggles to watch, how he keeps getting these prime TV spots. I simply don't understand it. Like, I mean, we pretty much we have to go to Univision or HBO. We can barely get Rigo and HBO Latino, and then all of a sudden, no. But we can get Miguel Vasquez. This year he's had a main event on HBO, and he has a co-main event on pay-per-view, and I don't get it. He faced Mickey Bay, who I'm not too high on myself. And either way, I thought, okay, the type of experience that Vasquez has, it would be pretty much nothing. And I'll be honest with you, this is probably the one fight where I just, because the struggle was so great in this fight between Vasquez jabbing, going in, holding, and Bay just jabbing and having some sort of mixture of offense. It was so repetitive. I couldn't even really tell you. I couldn't even focus enough to even tell you like who was winning rounds. I just wanted it to be over, you know. Um, so after 12 rounds, I mean, they announced the score. I think the first two judges were either it was like 115, 113 for each of the fighters of Bay and Vasquez. But that 119 was it 119, 110, 119, 109 score. That was a horrific score. Now, in any other case, I would have said, that's a robbery because they gave it to Bay. But in this case, I just didn't care. I didn't care at all because Vasquez, I just don't want to see him fight, and I know, and I guess that's a small price to pay. And for Bay, who I don't think highly of too, he's probably gonna get one of those one and done type of title defenses because he's not gonna keep onto that belt for very long. So that's enough said about that fight. The next fight I think was the last fight, Leo Santa Cruz versus what was it? I'm actually having a brain fart. Was it Vargas from Roman? Whatever. Um, Regardless of the fact, it was an easy. Santa Cruz made $750,000 and knocking out his former sparring partner in 2 rounds. That's pretty much all you can say. That's the fight. One thing was interesting is he did call out Rigo, and hopefully this time around they actually follow up with it because Santa Cruz is now. I think it's time for him to step up in an opponent. I mean, I either want that or want to see Frampton. I want to see somebody. I want to see somebody. He's someone of significance at 122 that he's facing. So hopefully that does come to pass. But overall, that fight was a waste of time, and it should have never been on a pay-per-view in the first place. So the main event was Floyd Mayweather versus Marcos Maidana in the rematch. This fight was dull. It was very dull. It reminds me of Floyd Baltimore. It was not It was not a pleasant fight to watch. Floyd won clearly. I mean, there was no question about that. I mean, Floyd looked a lot stronger and was using his legs a lot more, much more than he was on the first fight where he was lying on the ropes all the time. And Maidana just looked like he gassed out early. He didn't look like he was in any good condition, in the best condition like he was in the first fight. But one thing he was doing, and I found was interesting, was the feints that Maidana was throwing and Floyd was actually falling for them. And that I wasn't expected to see. Although Floyd did put in some good work. I mean, basically that shoulder roll was working. There was just a couple of things I just, I mean, like the pull counter although it was a little sharper than it was in the first fight. You could see Floyd was missing a lot of shots. Pretty much, pretty much I was still seeing some signs of actual decline, physical decline. Even though, yes, Floyd won the fight clearly. Um, the the most part the fight the part of the fight where it got a little confusing was Floyd all of a sudden was jumping around holding his hand talking about Maidana bit him, and I'm just trying to figure out how someone with a mouthpiece could actually bite someone with the type of padding that Floyd likes on his gloves. I'm just trying to figure out how he would actually be able to get down to the fingers. That's the part I didn't understand. And I was thinking, like, I mean, if Kenny Bayless didn't see that, then Floyd's got to fight. Else, he's gonna be like he's abandoning the fight, and then that's a stoppage. Um, Speaking of Kenny, I felt he did a very bad job tonight about refereeing. Like he didn't let them fight off the clinches. He didn't let them do any work on the inside. Overall, he was just paid to just you know to make sure that Floyd wasn't too roughed up as it was. But pretty much he really stopped the flow of the action. You could tell because the crowd, for the most part, usually in Floyd fights are actually, cheering and they booed the hell out of this fight. I don't blame him. Even Floyd himself was like, this was like a C- type of performance because he got hit with punches he wasn't expecting to get hit with. But like I said, I mean, the judges, the other thing I was surprised about too, that the judges had it a lot closer than I did. I mean, I had it like 118, 109 with the point deduction, and then the other ones were like 115, 112 or some crazy score like that. And I didn't see it that close at all. But I mean, like I said, it was a dull fight. The post fight interview. I mean, yeah, Madonna saying that he won the fight and denying that he bit the hand, and you have Floyd, who sounded like he was on the verge of crying, talking about his fingers and stuff like that. It just was not entertaining enough fight. I mean, where they go from there? I mean, I know Jim Gray was instigating, brought up Manny Pacquiao, and I mean, at this point right now, there's not Floyd has 2 fights left on his Showtime contract, and he has to fight some interesting opponents soon because I mean, if they can make Pacquiao fight, great, but I just don't want to see Amir Khan get the fight, not until at least until he beats somebody of significance. Um, as for Maidana, I mean, what do you do? I mean, he's gotten like $3 million or whatever. He's lost 2 in a row. He's gonna have to go back to the drawing board. So, pretty much. Uh, I mean, I have no time. I have no idea where he's going. I have no idea where he's going right now or where he's gonna be going after this fight. But I mean, I hopefully wherever it is, pretty much will try to improve his conditioning. Because, like I said, I found it odd how he just gassed out so early in this fight. He didn't look like he did before. The first fight, he was like you couldn't stop him. In this fight, he was a little bit more subdued. So yeah, like I said, overall was not an entertaining card. It wasn't. It looks like if you paid for this, you lost. If you streamed it, it was just probably like a minor waste of time. Especially when now people are talking about, they're used to this thing. They started all early, an hour early, so they're used to like saying, hey, how come we didn't start like after midnight? So in a way, I don't mind it. Personally, like I said, if it's, I mean, in this pay-per-view case, like this ending before midnight, it was fine with me. So yeah, so those are my thoughts about the fight. So yeah, but until next time, all right, peace.